America says the ocean, the Gulf, the oil from the global world, the benefit or enabler. Indeed, there is instability in the area. What it means is that there could be disruption in the supply chain. First, 100 million barrels a day. It means that yena yet April on the 5th. Adibia most supply the autumn or the price look can it the oil price.
Musa minim se baby awonu mum na enya na se den so betwe ho kakra. We are having okay kasa.
Okay. So one of the disruption who said the oil prices will begin to go up. Even though in the last few days, we've seen a slight reduction, but it's not material compared to when they free. Early May, now Brent crude air $51.5, and I'm 73.84. That is a big jump.
And the last time you check here, say, and then almost between $77 to $80 per barrel. Actually, say, you no petrol no, yen say akosro.
Yes, akosro, but the effect they say, you're not yet to free ahano. Say auto a lot more in advance. Let's say 1 month or 2 months stock. The ABC and Neno and affect your price a little bit here because one locking in the price. But so auto the shorter 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks. The price is at the count.
Na say and tokwe baby adri pa US for do mo akotwitwiri mi. E kire sen maye.
My expectation is that Iran will moderate so that it shouldn't attack U.S. interests directly unless it is attacked. Even though they bombed their nuclear sites, I hope that they don't escalate by directly attacking U.S. Even though they've said so, I hope they let a cool head prevail.
Obese oche Ghana na woka hope na nkofoi na no ya USA for ko bombi umu enre Israel for enye bi ehua ti bi ehua pa wa wo hwe ena no pa die be ya asa ko ete se wo bumi na mintimi mbo dia ene unu akoto amebo no I'm sure sasa na Iran for yi
but the question is Israel unu akoto na almost strong powers in the Middle East. But I think the miscalculation on their part, they said, and indeed many Western intelligence, underestimated the power and the capabilities of the Iranian missiles and the volume of missiles they have. And that clearly shows that whatever intelligence Western countries have on Iran may be outdated, and that Iran is far ahead than they ever thought. So Israel did not really believe that Iran could have such sophisticated missile system to inundate their air defense system to a point where the defense system is almost 40% ineffective.
Why pa why ne betimi awini US for Israel and Iran.
In the modern warfare there are no winners, and that is why we should try to avoid conflict at all costs. Diplomacy has always been the solution to everything, not war. But what may happen is Iran may succeed to target certain key areas of Iran, but it will not stop Iran from developing their nuclear weapon or their nuclear plants, which they claim is for civilian purposes. And just remind ourselves that nuclear plants are allowed, or every country is allowed to process nuclear for civilian purposes, including Iran. So Iran so far has not broken any international law by pursuing civilian nuclear plants. But the problem is Israel and some of the Western countries don't trust that Iran will stop there. They might go forward and process the uranium into nuclear grades. And that is a worry for them.
But how fair is that? Mimi Timmy Crew, based on modern diplomacy, nature say, yen engine to say Krobia de no. Into any can say Krobi, ebe media was me. US for Mutimo baby, Muyamu nuclear, Bianca Samunyai. Russia for you mudi maintain that. Say US for Kotia Muse Momunye. North Korea for Omumfi US for. Maintain say US a koto bomb at Russia so Mamunye nuclear. A dear Quantina say Iran for so muyomudie, or bright Israel for so air yomudia, as Iran for the Mamunye, but Israel mutimi. How?
No, before this, there has been a nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Members of the countries or globe signed up to. Iran is a signatory to that treaty. Israel is not. So, in fact, Israel has kept what we call strategic ambiguity. They don't admit that Omo nuclear bomb, and they do deny that they have it. So, but the ones believe that they have it. But they fear that if another power in the region like Iran should have a nuclear weapon, then there could be a balance of power in the region. And they don't want to have a balance of power in the region. They want to dominate the region when it comes to nuclear. So they wouldn't want anybody else to have nuclear. That has been the goal of Netanyahu for many years, since 1995. He has been claiming that Iran is on the verge of producing nuclear bomb since 1995.
Okay.
We are in 2025. Iran doesn't still have a nuclear bomb.
Interesting. They say Russia for so akachre USA for so manya de omunyai de omoye no China for so de omu ho agim because Straits of Hormuz no menim say China for oil e fa ho be 40%. USA for kra omu de nyina omu yi omu so oil be over be 7% so far sa Strait of Hormuz we as they say de omu yi they say omu close to nimponie na wan hwe omu kra bufu no mu ka say China for de ye nuanom timu de mbetimi afa by USA for yan so ne ye ko shell ne ho ahwan ya no ye USA ne akofa fangu ne de abai na de omu yi the Trump we pan they say obi antimi nka nkyere ne say ade na oye no wanyunu hu mienu ana every say ne nkrofo cry wo house ne parliament senate no e bi kire say decision no na wo so ode ba momu decide say o meko ana say ma omunko e bi say Donald Trump na nkasa emire bi in opposition o blame Obama say Obama o hye na adwene na onye papa na wanhwe a opese okọ blast Iran o kan sa asemi attack no said Obama ye no so o ye na adwa nyansa nim a wono attack no sa amene no opposition o so Obama but Obama akọ attack Iran in fact menim say Obama me Democrat no do mo ba aya mo ni Iran fort na say okay yenye ni say de be ya ama asumdie timi ba but no Donald Trump no blame ye can say Obama no ene onumum a ma mu 2 weeks say okay ye ma mu 2 weeks na mo fanya nyoma no onumum na say nyoma no kra. What does it mean? A painted them picture.
Look, over internally in the US, the Republicans are divided over Trump's attack on Iran. Even his own bill, the MAGA, completely disagree with him. Osha Taylor Greene and what she's been saying recently is very, very damning against Trump. And many other Republicans as well. Because almost per war, they don't want the war anymore. Almost say US focus on America first, or Trump on America first. What they are saying is Trump is pursuing Israel first. Because we Israel and Trump clearly the whole world was shocked at the way Trump behaved. And indeed, that is the problem with Trump. He is very unpredictable. And that is not safe for geopolitics. And at the moment, nobody trusts his words. He told the whole world that he will be patient to see how diplomacy works in 2 weeks. Within 2 days, he goes and bombs Iran. But who will sit down with this guy and have an agreement signed? He's not trusted. And that's not good for diplomacy.
Ghana for you say
I think we can weather the storm. My expectation is that this war should not go beyond a month. At a point in time, cool heads will prevail. Because I believe China and Russia are speaking to Iran. We mentioned the Strait of Hormuz. And I think China will have a big influence on whether Iran closes or not. And I think they will do everything to keep it open because they don't want to destabilize the world economy. And also, Iran has been very reasonable in the way they respond. And indeed, I'm not a fan of Iran, but Iran has never waged war against any country directly. Also, 1988, they were attacked by Saddam Hussein and gassed. They've been attacked by U.S. during the Shia time when the Shia or Shah was being toppled. They've never attacked anyone. So in terms of aggression, I think they overhyped Iran's threat. And I think they do so because of the support Iran gives to other groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. And that is not new in geopolitics. Obekaya, in the 80s, U.S. through the CIA were funding the Afghanistan rebels against Russia to enable the Afghans to drive away the Russians from their land. And today, Iran is financing Hezbollah and Hamas to drive away Israel from Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine. But that is not acceptable. It's a double standard. But I think there must be a political solution to all this. Military solutions will not work.
Interesting. Afiyemre fibim MPP. On our research, am I who say 2024, the MPP 4 year nyina no omobewe. Edru maybe kra no ebi di omo de bani nemu ma omo kan say ade na be ko second round. Now kra ba omia kra lead Jomahama kakra. Emma ho nsem bebre baaye. MPP 4 ka say o omo hwehwe mu kra che say omo benya 140 seats. Na che say e second round na ba omia etu John Dramani Mahama. Ba ye no twetwe nkomo o ka say bibia nsesaye Jomahama ebe wini mibusa obe mprensia se abato no ebekọ one touch ana usi so ma yehu se ebekọ one touch de mummu ahu no o ka ye nimpo no MPP for dodo na ka se uye luto forecaster na wonim de woka yeto abani wie ye no yehu wo ma na omutiti fie na no mo ka de omoka onsema wo predict ye ni nyina ba mu pepepe a wugu so eka. But my name says MPP for no so internal contest na here. Right now we can say Brian Echampong, Honorable Dr. Yao Duchum, Honorable Kennedy Japon, and His Excellency Dr. Mahamadou Baumia. Omune and Naya say Omeyu Omuti. First of all, we are surprised of the names Nana.
Oh, David. I wasn't surprised at all. Oshe, there was no doubt Baumia was going to contest from what he was saying after losing the election. Kennedy also who said, or chance, or one whom he can win the flag bearer race. Then we have people like Educhum. Omofile say they don't want to be part of the extreme left and right. They want to walk fine line in the middle. Maybe they want to pull MPP away from the extreme candidates. Then you have Brian Achampon, who is a new entrant, a very resourceful person in the race. You share Brian Achampa, I think no room for Educhum so be a wabum for or has a ABS or Jan Finfia, or bet not MPP no for na Peba or Mia, Kennedy, open new direction. So, yeah, you expect to say this race will be tougher than the last time.
Wow. Okasa tough for say. So we then come in and say a simple Baumia and Kennedy Japon, because we know you muti that and then I can say tough.
A bit depending. See the Educhum any Brian Tampon Beppe. So Omunya will vote every Baumian Chenya, a Demark race night close. But Omunya will vote every Kay de Wa, one share bound, one member from our pan.
Metuasia, Kennedy Japon in Baumia say, Omuna last time na Rebecca so omu call menimno. Say Brian Champo and say Educhum. Omutimi pushi na omunya Baumia dia na say e pushi ken na mum say omutimi nya free ken honso dia na say e pushi Baumia. But I am sure say dodo na wo mo standi na mo support to Dr. Baumia 2024 it be say busa den ne betimi asesa ma wona no mo ka say Baumia is the next to lead afi de o me o madwen say ye yan kasa pese ye ko e chere say politically
At first, they don't have confidence in the two main protagonists. And I think they feel MPP needs a new direction. A direction that is the way of Ken or Baumia. That's what they feel. As to what that is, what the MPP will feel and want, that's $1 million question.
Bakakra wo monitor any MPP delegacy. Is it dear Sebi? What is our share about Miasha Dr. Briner? Obia your potential. But right now, who say Kennedy Japon and some no air cosro MPC be a you manim a be air train you maybe. Mibusa if we say a delegate question and Bibusa. Because now no Dr. Baumia nanka say yi efrim. Sabi Dr. Baumia no ofri esrem oye muslimi ni ntina Ghana for Antwa manana.
Look, there are so many or never be account for somebody winning or losing an election. Sometimes any oma mutwa banokwana omuhiyo. Oma mutina afie no DNT ena mutina afie say obi enye very enthusiastic about his candidate. It will take a bulldozer to pull him to go and vote. But those who turn out to vote, they normally will vote, and religion and ethnicity sometimes is not a big factor. We're not saying it's not a factor. Absolutely not. Because Osha said post-election, it is clear that there is element of people in our voting blocker. Religion was somehow important for them. Among both Muslims and Christians. There are Muslims whose religion of Mahmoud Baumia made them vote for him. There are some. Untimikasi Ubia didn't have that kind of reason. And Yewo Muswa Omotuma Mahama because he was a Christian. There's no doubt about that. But the can say, share the number of people who are Muslims in the country, about 21%. And those who are Christians, nearly 71%. So a small number of 71% will have a bigger impact on the outcome than even a bigger proportion of the Muslims who are 21%. So, Timothy, I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Let me pass and say, almost see religion play important in their decision. It be a Christian, it be a Muslims. In the end, funny said, 5% of Christians say important. And a Christians 71%. Who multiplier, the effect of the Christians is much, much impactful on the outcome than the effect of Muslims who want to vote for their candidate because he's a Muslim.
Yes, I agree.
So on that basis, it's a number game. And the poll shows that nearly, 18% of Christians say religion was somehow important or very important for them. 18%.
Okay.
Over Muslims that number is 28%. So 28%. But 28% of 21% are him. Yenfa pen the paper. Yen calculate it. 0.28 times 0.21. The effect near the 6%.
Okay.
But 0.18 times 0.71. The effect near 13%.
Wow.
So also factor 13 minus 12. That is about 7% more Christians. So assuming say those who were Muslims will vote Bawumia, and those who were Christians will vote against Bawumia. It means there are more people who will vote against him who are Christians compared to the Muslims.
Nese me de ba forma o share a Christopher mu Ghana ken kan wo ma wo de tennis wa emu be 7 ebe ka se me Christoni ana me kwa sorry se wo ba muslimi fu mu a emu 10 no benya be 2 ana mu 3 se obeka cho se me muslimi ni
sanity
ena wo hwe muslimi fu no nso a out of ebia 18% a yesusu se out of bear 20 whatever you say omu ye nkemofo no wona wo mo se ono de asori a nipa ne kono ehu hia no as compared to a Christopher de no o share Christopher wo mo dodo no na utiti free ma utimi hu se wona ebi omo ka se me ye Christo ni enti me de Christo sam hu hia me enti bia meto atia ba omia no ebe kosoro achai muslimi ni o se me ye muslimi ni enti meto ama me nua muslimi ni enti wona omo ka se ba omia na oye kremoni enu nti ne anto ama no omo di kana.
You see, partly true because Oshe Baumia base no MPP base. MPP base account. Accounts no are closely 90% Christian.
Okay.
So we say or a Christian na on to a bar, he's more likely to be an account than other tribes. So you cannot, for Baumia in particular, because only the base near account and the base is also Christian. And the Christians outnumber the Muslims who are saying that religion was important to them. And we know those people are Christians, and Baumia isn't a Christian.
Okay. And I mean, some push you be. In that case, Nurse, Jamuna my researcher, some more year qualitative na, must say in-depth analysis no one say be na on country, but nation it trim. Ubeti be abu so be say oh nana jantwa say obi ye krimonia na Christo ni ebe gyina so amoa to aba manana. Nana jantwa betimi aka o debi me dem hwe nipa no betimi aye adwuma nanso na bi ehyemitrim pa se eye kremuni ana kristoni no ehu hia me pa ye wo bi wo Ghana ha sa mo ne nkofo hia obetimi aka ne se o ente sa bas na ente sa.
In fact, I think it is more prevalent in Ghana than in the West. Yes, in terms of their true intention. The reason why we know this is that it be almost sometimes religion and ethnicity no, they are less than 1%. But so twist the question differently. Now beside say religion or edomono ema influence or influence wana, then the number goes higher. You see, because you change the question in a way you are not being intrusive. And most importantly, look, it is our brothers and sisters who are Christians who are more guilty about that than the Muslims. Muslims will tell you that this is what he will do, and he will do it.
Okay. Muslims they also want pewasema on meto ama we are meto at least.
Yes.
Betimi aka no kreka krakyerɛw.
Yes.
But Christopher ne dey obetimi de one on nano afafa ho.
Because omo feel say it's not cool. It's not cool to say you vote based on religion. But meanwhile, he will vote because of that in some cases.
Now say the MPP 4 came say because the kako kebi obi say asem bi wo hɔ a yen hyedan kan no saa but the kako kan ye ono nso at least or a learned person or a researcher or a philosopher but asem na say ehyehyɛ ye ho na yentimi nka no the kako kan bi saa mena no company was say dodo na nkoto because nkremusem no so ka ho wɔ MPP mu a mo feel said there be de enye Christian na ebe din ba yentimi nka ba ono de okokan na say eye no credit a say no credit based on the omukikai kai kakra dia na say ebe boa say MPP for be sisa candidate na na.
Look, I have said it before. Sir, if you look at what we are seeing in the data, to be very honest with you, they are between a rock and a hard place. Because the issue of homophobia is a demographic. Demographic make the identity of groups within the MPP. Unless that identity changes, the issue remains.
They come and tell you.
The main pastor said, demography,
nipa, maybe a nipa bi wo.
Aha.
Okay.
If there no account the reason why there was lower turnout and other factors, the candidate near the same candidate, those issues will not go away.
Okay, dear Emma, Ghana for the Gina so say Yempe Baumiano. Sir, almost had the Baumia Bass, Adia na Nenya ebe free ho, ebedaswa dini dem, and yes, Anaka.
In particular, those who use religion as a basis not to show up to vote, or to show up to vote. Those people of Sankrofono, the issue will still remain.
Nense omo de Bawumia bedu de osusu se Bawumia enye Kristo ni anase nkremofo no nso omo susu se Bawumia nse da nye kremo papa because ono a ene no nam ha ochina no nam ha no sa de no still na ebedi ni dem.
Absolutely. And even those who want to vote for him because he's a Muslim will still vote for him because he's a Muslim.
Okay. But say still our own we knew, Anna.
Look, I think the odds are against MPP in 2028.
Still our 2028 and Shedanko is our MPP for.
The odds are against them right now. I don't know whether down the line NDC will mess up and then the dynamics will change. But so far, the trajectory of the race looks very bleak for MPP.
Obe prefer say MPP form for new face apart from Bawumia Emra Nemwa woman Nensesa Nyoma because Dr. Brian Champon a typical businessman, a Presbyterian or a Christoni. Dr. Yawaduchum a Pentecostal omu base Osakati across as a national appeal national asset can Japan Obian very popular outspoken but a grassroots person. Do you think say MPP form for new face Emra Nemwa Umukakra 2028?
It is not for me to tell them what to do. Nana Dankwah. And to do Mano. It is for them to look at what is in their best interest. You know, sometimes you have to go beyond where the eyes can see to understand the rationale behind the choice a party makes. Sometimes not everything will be told in public. The reason why they want someone to go. But also what is happening in the dynamics for MPP, Noah. I believe that some are of the opinion, say, look, let's give Bawumia another chance so that we will be seen to have been fair to him, as we were for Geopolitical and Nanado. Even though none of them lost in the way that Bawumia did, they might be thinking, say, if you boot him out, it could spell a doom for MPP in the northern part of the country. And you don't want the northern part of the country to break away from you because they feel that you have treated them unfairly. So some of these reasons are quite justified. As to what it is born out of reality and just speculation, no data has shown this yet. Maybe in the future we could look at that and see what the effect that might be. But they may have a good reason why they want to present him again.
Finally, almost 2.1 million MPP for Ama Bontia and Kotua Bano. Inti John Mahama Krano or the kakre bi ne kan ho no wini. Mepacho ampase MPP for and Kotua Banana.
Look, anybody who says 2.1 million MPP people didn't vote is deceiving himself. One, he doesn't understand the numbers, or he doesn't understand numbers. So we winning about, and then the party in Kwana to Manu. Anamegwa.
Yes.
Mahama winning, on your bear 20% of MPP vote. In the next time, so Oman Kotwaba now, because the NDC vote now Kotwaba. There be presidential elections, annual party for Nkwan. NDC for MPP for CDB for party getting now Omukahubi. And now Ankrakra or independent voters. Omukahubi. Oman Kotwaba. But data you say about 55% of Oman Kotwabano a MPP for 55%. NDC for around 10%. Oman and around 38 or so floating voters. The same thing, Oman Kotwaba na Momutumanado. So you can't say MP before. And indeed, Oman pay by some MP before. 20% or more, Etuma Mahama. In Kamubad, the Brainwa and Car, and the proportion will still remain the same. And Kamaji no probably bigger. 1.7 million, Kabe cost 2.something million gas. Some no munyaika. That is not backed by any data.
Opinion that's it. Nhyira.
Mr. Medasi.
Mussa Dankwah, Executive Director, Global Info Analytics, a poster and a researcher.